Have you ever walked away without a word, leaving someone to wonder, question, and scramble to make sense of your absence? You might think they didn't notice that life went on as usual, but the truth is far more powerful. Machiavelli would tell you that every absence carries a silent power, a force that stirs hidden emotions, exposes true intentions, and reveals what people genuinely feel when they are forced to face life without you. In this video, we're diving deep into the 7 things they feel when you simply disappear, the subtle, often unspoken emotions most people never recognize, the internal storms that rage in silence, and the psychological truths that can give you an unshakable edge in relationships, attraction, and life itself. By understanding these stages, you'll not only see how absence affects others, but also how it can serve as a tool to reveal character, spark reflection, and create undeniable impact. These are lessons that go beyond manipulation. They're about strategy, influence, and human psychology at its most raw and honest. But before we dive into this journey of insight and self-mastery, make sure to subscribe to the channel, hit that like button, and stick around until the very end, because the knowledge you gain today won't just change how you handle relationships. It will change how people see you, how they value you, and how you understand the silent power of absence. Point 1. Shock and disbelief. The first reaction people feel when you vanish is pure shock. Think about it. When someone disappears without explanation, it's not just your absence. They experience a sudden rupture in their mental map of reality. Machiavelli would describe this as a strategic vacuum. People fear what they cannot understand. Their mind races. Why would they leave? Did I do something wrong? Was I not enough? Emotional turbulence hits because they're forced to confront a world without you. Here's the secret. Your silence amplifies their reflection on your value. They replay moments, conversations, even arguments. They're trying to decipher the meaning. Imagine this. You were someone they relied on emotionally, someone they saw as constant. Now the anchor is gone. Their brain naturally scans for answers, rewinding memories like a movie, trying to pinpoint the exact moment they lost you. Machiavelli emphasizes that absence makes the mind chase desire. When you're gone, they are no longer in control. The balance shifts and suddenly, they're on the defensive, trying to understand your motives. You might think disappearing is cruel, but it's revealing. It forces them to confront what they actually feel for you, and not just what they say. Point 2. Anxiety and restlessness. Once shock passes, the next wave hits anxiety. Absence triggers insecurity. Your disappearance creates a gap in their emotional ecosystem. They check their phone repeatedly. They look for signs of you everywhere. Social media, mutual friends, even old messages. Every notification becomes a potential clue. Every silence a wound. Machiavelli would call this controlled absence, a tool that exposes hidden dependencies. You see, most people don't realize how much their calm and emotional equilibrium depended on your presence. When you leave, they feel a strange tension, a pull that is both mental and physical. They may even replay interactions in their mind, obsessing over small details. Did I say the wrong thing? Did I push too hard? Was I not enough? This is not just emotional, it's biological. The brain releases stress hormones when the expected social connection disappears. That restlessness is proof that your presence mattered more than they admitted. Disappearing strategically doesn't just create silence, it creates reflection and internal questioning. And humans hate that. Point 3. Self-reflection and guilt. After anxiety comes self-reflection. When you vanish, people are forced to look inward. They start asking themselves, did I take them for granted? Could I have been a better person? Was I too complacent? This is where Machiavelli's insight becomes clear. Absence teaches lessons that presence cannot. When you are around, your existence becomes a backdrop, and people rarely evaluate their behavior toward you. Disappearance acts as a mirror. And here's the interesting twist. They start feeling guilt for mistakes they didn't even consciously register. They recall times they ignored your feelings. They remember arguments they brushed off. They think about opportunities to show appreciation they missed. Your absence creates a mental audit of their behavior, and guilt in human psychology is a powerful driver. It can push them toward change, action, or even reaching out. Imagine this. You leave without drama, but your silence is louder than any confrontation could ever be. Point 4. Longing and desire. Once guilt and self-reflection settle in, the next feeling emerges. Longing. Machiavelli understood this better than anyone. Human desire is often born from what they cannot have. When you disappear, you become a puzzle, a challenge, a ghost they cannot catch. Memories of your presence start feeling like precious treasures. Every laugh, every conversation, every shared secret grows in value. They start imagining your absence in their daily life and feel an unmistakable emptiness. Here's why this matters. Desire is amplified by scarcity. What was once ordinary, your attention, your time, your presence now becomes extraordinary simply because it's gone. It's not manipulation. It's the natural psychology of human attachment. People don't realize how much they relied on you until you are no longer there to rely on. This is also why silent disappearances are so powerful in relationships. They force emotions that were dormant to surface in full intensity. Point 5. Confusion and mixed emotions. After longing, confusion sets in. People struggle to reconcile their feelings. They want to reach out, yet fear rejection. They feel anger, yet miss you deeply. They experience relief from unresolved tension, yet sadness from your absence. Their mind goes back and forth. Should I call? Should I wait? Did I push too hard? Emotional oscillation is natural when someone disappears, especially if the relationship had complexity or unspoken tension. Machiavelli describes this as psychological leverage. Absence destabilizes habitual patterns, forcing people to question their own emotional stability. Mixed emotions are intense because they combine desire, guilt, and frustration. People may even project fantasies or idealized memories, remembering you as better than reality. This confusion is proof of your impact. It shows that they cannot easily categorize or dismiss you. Point 6. Realization of value. Next comes a profound stage, realization. When someone finally processes your absence, they begin to understand your worth, often far more clearly than when you were present. Presence can be easy to take for granted. Your consistency, attention, and the subtle ways you added value to their life may have seemed ordinary at the time, but absence illuminates what was invisible before. They start noticing the little things you did that truly mattered. The way you listened when they needed it. The moments you made them feel understood. The small gestures that brought comfort or joy. These weren't just actions. They were quiet imprints on their life. And now without you, these imprints stand out vividly. They also begin to recognize the broader influence your presence had on them. Even in mundane, everyday ways. How your energy made their day lighter. How your patience prevented conflicts from escalating. How your perspective shaped their decisions without them realizing it. Machiavelli knew that value is always clearer in absence. When you are around, your worth blends into routine. When you are gone, the contrast becomes impossible to ignore. Absence magnifies significance, revealing what was always there but unappreciated. People often start comparing. I thought I knew what I had, but now I see I never truly appreciated it. They remember moments they laughed with you, felt comforted, or gained clarity because of your presence. Every memory, once ordinary, now becomes extraordinary, loaded with meaning. This realization is incredibly powerful because it is inescapable and undeniable. Unlike words or arguments, it emerges naturally through reflection, longing, and emotional processing. It is truth without debate, the understanding that what they lost was not just a person, but a force in their life that added stability, joy, and growth. At this stage, absence does not just create longing. It fosters reverence. It shows them what life felt like with you and, crucially, what it lacks without you. And often this clarity becomes a turning point, guiding how they may act or think about relationships in the future. In essence, your disappearance teaches a lesson that presence never could. That true value is often invisible until it's gone, and the weight of loss is the most convincing proof of significance. Point 7. An action or acceptance. Finally, they reach a crossroads, the moment where absence becomes a catalyst for decision. After experiencing shock, anxiety, longing, guilt, confusion, and realizing your value, they are no longer floating in passive emotion. They are confronted with a choice, action or acceptance. Action occurs when they are stirred to respond. They may reach out, attempting to reconnect, driven by the weight of your absence. Sometimes they try to change themselves, becoming better, more attentive, or more thoughtful because your disappearance has illuminated what they lacked or took for granted. Imagine someone who suddenly notices the little ways you improved their life, the patience you showed, the laughter you shared, the subtle support you gave. Your absence creates a mirror in which they finally see their own shortcomings, their own mistakes, and their failure to fully appreciate you. Action is their way of repairing the emotional gap. They attempt to restore balance, often realizing too late just how important you were. On the other hand, acceptance is equally profound. Some people may not take action. Instead, they internalize the loss, slowly adjusting to life without you. This is not mere resignation, it is a transformation. They carry the lessons of your presence, the memories of your impact, and the deep awareness of your value. They may silently honor what you meant to them even if they never reach out. They learn to live with your absence. But that absence continues to shape their behavior, choices, and understanding of relationships. In many ways, acceptance can lead to personal growth. They are forced to confront the reality of impermanence, attachment, and appreciation, lessons that your presence alone may never have taught them. Machiavelli's insight here is crucial. Strategic absence provokes responses that presence cannot. Presence allows comfort, routine, and complacency. Absence disrupts that equilibrium, forcing reflection, emotional confrontation, and sometimes decisive action. This stage, action or acceptance, is decisive. It separates those who merely feel from those who respond. Your influence is confirmed in either outcome. If they act, they acknowledge your worth through their attempts to regain what they lost. If they accept, they carry the imprint of your presence, forever shaped by what you brought to their life. In both cases, absence proves that your existence mattered. It leaves a mark on their psyche, a lesson in value, and a recognition that sometimes the most powerful tool in relationships is not words or gestures. It's the quiet, deliberate act of stepping away. Strategic disappearance forces truth to surface. Emotions, attachments, regrets, and realizations all collide at this crossroads. And whether they choose to act or accept, your presence or absence has rewritten the rules of engagement. Ultimately, this stage reminds us that we are not just participants in relationships. We are architects of influence. How we choose to engage and sometimes disengage defines the emotional landscapes of those around us. Conclusion. So there you have it. The 7 things they feel when you simply disappear. Shock and disbelief. That initial jolt when they realize you're gone. A moment that shakes their reality. Anxiety and restlessness. The invisible tension that creeps in, making them constantly think about you, about what went wrong, about what they lost. Self-reflection and guilt. The quiet inner reckoning, where they start examining their own behavior and realize they may have taken you for granted. Longing and desire, the subtle pull, the yearning that grows stronger with every moment of your absence, reminding them of what they once had and may never get back. Confusion and mixed emotions, the emotional whirlwind where love, regret, frustration, and hope collide in unpredictable ways. Realization of value, the moment they truly see your worth, often more clearly than when you were present, and understand the subtle ways you shaped their life. Action or acceptance, the turning point where they either try to reclaim what they lost or finally learn to live with your absence, carrying the lessons and memories forward. Disappearance is not cruelty. It's clarity in its purest form. It's a mirror that reflects who they truly are, how much they value you, and the hidden truths they may never openly admit. The lesson is simple yet profound. Your presence is powerful, but your absence can be transformative, not just for them but for you as well. When you step away, intentionally or naturally, you give space for introspection, for realization, for growth. You create a pause in the rhythm of their life that forces them to confront emotions they often ignore. Emotions that reveal their true attachment, desire, and respect for you. And here's the most important part. This isn't about manipulation, control, or revenge. It's about honoring yourself, your time, and your energy. Sometimes the most powerful action is simply to step back, let the silence speak, and allow reality to do its work. If you've experienced this, if someone has ever vanished from your life, you already know how intense, confusing, and even transformative it can be. You know that the absence of someone important doesn't just leave emptiness, it leaves questions, realizations, and a deep understanding of value. If you haven't experienced it yet, remember this: absence speaks louder than words ever can. When you stop explaining, when you stop chasing, when you stop trying to be understood by people who only listen when it benefits them, absence has a strange power. It reveals truths people were hiding, It exposes who valued your presence and who only valued your effort. In silence, emotions surface: regret, curiosity, longing because what's missing is finally felt. And in that space, lessons appear that presence alone could never teach. Sometimes staying teaches nothing, but stepping away forces awareness. So take this as a reminder. Value yourself, not loudly, not desperately, but quietly with conviction. Know your worth so deeply that you no longer beg for attention, respect, or clarity. When you truly understand your value, you stop explaining yourself to people who are committed to misunderstanding you. You stop chasing validation from places that were never meant to give it. And you stop shrinking just to keep someone comfortable. Understand this clearly. Walking away is not weakness. It is self-respect in its purest form. It is the moment you choose dignity over desperation, peace over chaos, and inner stability over emotional bargaining. Walking away means you finally recognize that your energy is sacred, and not everyone deserves access to it. It is choosing peace over proving your value to someone who refuses to see it. Because the truth is, people who overlook you do not need more effort from you. They need less access to you. Never fear the power of stepping away. Absence rearranges priorities. Silence creates reflection. Distance reveals what presence kept hidden. And sometimes the quietest actions leave the loudest impact. With that said, thanks for watching, and until next time.